Yes, people, what's going on? It's just going to be myself today for the moment. Gumsa's had a few arrangements that he's got to attend to, but we are here to talk today about the links to João Felix and transfer business in general. So let's get the show on the road, baby. Yes, people, another Armoury special brought to you today in relation to our links to João Felix, and we are going to be discussing that in full and what it means to the team, where he can fit into the team, how he can help us achieve our goals for the rest of the season. Thank you for your patience and apologies for the delay in getting the stream up and running today. And yeah, I think just big up everyone in the comment section. What's going on, Michael? Good evening to you as well. Silver Fox is in the building as well. Big up yourself. And yeah, we're going to be sort of looking at the situation with João Felix. Obviously what we are looking at is a proposed loan move. Different stories. Some are saying that an obligation or option to buy might be involved. Others are saying that it could just be a straight loan, whereby a loan fee, I think, proposed of about £8 million would be paid with the club that takes him on, agreeing to pay his wages for the term of the loan. I think he's on roughly around 250,000 a week, so in total it should cost around the 18-ish million figure, I think. And yeah, there's been different reports as well about the cost of the loan fee. Some people saying as little as 8 million, some are saying that they're holding out for 20 odd million. I don't know if that's with the wages front loaded into it or whether that would come out on the back end as well. So look, Gabriel Jesus has been injured recently, so we know that we're light of striker options. And yeah, in terms of Eddie Nketiah has done great so far. I think he didn't score against Newcastle, but he scored in both other games, against West Ham and against Brighton as well. And look, I like Eddie. I think he's a great guy. I think he's got the right attitude, the right mindset. I loved in the All or Nothing documentary seeing him speaking to Lokonga about well, in quite frank terms, almost Buddhist terms, saying that it's not about crying when you're on the sidelines, and he's always been there, ready to be called upon and depended on in a backup capacity. And when he's come on, for the most part he's done well. But look, Arsenal are competing on three fronts at the moment. We've got the FA Cup, we've got the Premier League, and we've got the Europa League. We're top of the league by 5 points now. Deficit's been reduced from 8 points, what it was last week, in lieu of us drawing and Chelsea losing to Man City last night. And look, the key difference in those two games, when Arteta looked to the bench, we've got ESR returning, but look, he didn't have the options, the sort of options that City did. He brought Lishamaro, that changed the game invariably in their favour. So if we are going to continue to be competitive for the remainder of the season, we need options in the squad. We need depth and we need quality in order to be able to do that. So look, Ridwan, that's what we're here to talk about today. I think it is a deal that can get done. Sorry, Man United are also continued to be linked with João Felix as a Chelsea. You have to look at it like this, though. In terms of our sporting project compared to these other two clubs at the moment, we might not be bigger than Man United. I'd say we're still bigger than Chelsea, but we're performing better on the pitch than both. You have to look at the troubles that João Felix has had. You know, João Felix moved to Atletico Madrid, and I think there's been a stylistic mismatch. I would say it's probably the best way of putting it. We know that he likes to play on the front foot. He likes to play attacking football. Likes neat, intricate kind of two-touch play in and around the box. He's probably more suited to a possession-based team. We saw that with Portugal at the Euros, where he performed quite well. Atletico are the antithesis of what I've just described. You know, the way that they set up, their style, a lot more compact, a lot more counter-attacking, and they're quite happy to relinquish possession a lot. Their build-up play and structure, I don't think really has favoured him. And when you look at Arsenal's system and the way that we play on the front foot, sorry, I just got to get my dog, guys. If we look at the way that we play, I'd say it's definitely suited to those needs. You know, in terms of what stylistically he would be looking for from a team. So I think, yeah, in terms of our project, I think it's going to appeal to him heavily, you know, in terms of the way that we play. And, with Nketiah there, I think, him competing with Nketiah, he's definitely got a credible ability to get minutes. And we're a team that's flying at the moment. You know, he can come here and be part of something that could involve, the first league title in 17 years. In terms of our youth project as well, this is what we're doing at the moment. You know, we're bringing young players in, cultivating them, improving them, and maybe he's missed that. You know, maybe that's something he has missed at Atletico Madrid. They're not as known really for their youth development, and I think you would have to think that we could get this done. We could be favourites, in this equation. Silver, just going to go back to the comments quickly. King, you know my stance on Felix, but what do you think he could bring in your opinion? Is the fee worth it? I would say he's definitely. I would see him kind of trying to play in a false nine role. And when I say this, what I mean is, I think he has good creative qualities, good eye for a pass, good link-up play. He's definitely someone that is able to get on the ball and bring others into play. And I think when you look at sort of the players around him, like Smith Rowe, you look at players like Saka, Martinelli, these players getting on the ball, getting close to him, being able to interchange. That's something I see him being able to do. But he's also a good finisher. He's got good poacher's instincts when he arrives in the box, and he can definitely score from distance as well. Good aerial ability. Not the quickest, but I think quick enough. Just good footwork. Able to use both his feet. I think where he would need to adapt to playing that role is what he does off the ball. Now, at Atletico Madrid, I'd say he's played more in a two-striker system, as a second striker. Has played a bit on the left as well. And, that means that the responsibility to press from high up might be shared quite a lot. There's going to be a lot more work that he's going to have to do off the ball. And I think that would be my one concern. You know, that, like, is that going to be something he's going to be able to do? But yeah, I mean, you know, he's definitely sort of, as Ridwan said here, malleable to a few positions. You know, he could lead the line, play behind a striker, you know, in a 10 capacity or as a second striker. And if he wanted to, I mean, he's not going to be the quickest on the left or on the right. He'd probably play in sort of the inside half space of either side, probably more on the left. He could also do a job there as well. So he does bring versatility as well. But I think the qualities that Arteta looks for in players being versatile, able to play in a number of different systems, a number of different positions, with a number of different roles, I think he meets that criteria. And what that's good for is when our front line interchanges, when the transitions take place, you know, where there is a fluid player positioning and movement, because he's played in a number of different areas that allows for fluid transitioning and positioning. So yeah, I think the physicality, I think, as you said, Silver Fox, I think that would be my one area of concern. You know, like, I think you know, in terms of the intensity and the speed, you know, that the game's played at in England, and the physical element, I think this would be something he'd need to adjust to. You know, no doubt. But I think from a technical level, in his IQ, his understanding of the game, I think is first rate. You know, from what I've seen, and I certainly think that, you know, whilst not ideal because it's midway through the season, I think he brings qualities that Nketiah doesn't have. And with Jesus' injury at present, it alleviates the pressure of having to rush him back, which is the last thing we want to do. You know, for the sake of him sustaining a longer term injury if he is rushed back. So I think, yeah, you know, he provides good competition. Could be viewed as an upgrade on Nketiah in some respects, in terms of like his technical ability. And yeah, I think what that does is that allows us to compete on a number of fronts. You know, I would really like to see us win the Europa League, but we are in a title challenge as well. The FA Cup I'm less concerned about, but we are still in that as well. And we just want to have a squad that is capable of being able to compete on more than one front, you know. And in terms of having another player capable of playing up front, I think that's very necessary in this window, as a result of the Jesus injury. Arteta's long courted Felix as well. You know, he's a player that he's admired for some time, so it doesn't strike me as being panic ridden, because, you know, that we have been linked to him throughout Arteta's tenure on a number of occasions. He's got a great relationship with Mendes, as does Edu, sorry, his agent. So you know, it is something that has been talked about a lot as well. But yeah, it's looking like Man United are drawing the FA Cup, and look, they're linked to him as well. And you know, they need to strengthen their forward options. And look, you know, they're starting to appear on the horizon, as it were. You know, close the gap to 9 points now, and they're starting to find the ascendancy. Granted, they've got City and us next, and that could change very quickly. But certainly, when you're looking at keeping City at bay, and you know, you look at what options they've got up front. They've got Haaland, and then Alvarez, who's just come back from the World Cup. He's had a great World Cup, you know. And I think when you're comparing Alvarez to our second striker, that being Nketiah, you know, with the greatest respect to Nketiah, and you know, I'm more than happy for him to stay here. I think there's a difference there, you know, and I think that could be the difference between winning this title or not. We're in a great position, and I think a loan is a great way to get a player in, not committed to a big fee, someone in his quality, 20 million to loan him, of which some would probably come off the back end if we were to pursue a purchase in the summer. It gives us the stopgap that we need. And it also means that our funds are limited and we are able to appropriate our funds in other places in the transfer market. We know what the situation with Mudryk. Shakhtar are holding out for a big fee. And, there's also arguments to say that we need more depth and quality in midfield, particularly in Thomas Partey's position, given the nature of his injury proneness, so I think when you look at it like that, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer move. Now, we know that, and I do want to focus on Felix, but I think we do need to link it to the Mudryk story and also discuss how that might help that transfer. Now, it's been reported that they have rejected a second bid, which is meant to be in the region of 62 million. Structured deal, 70 million in euros, with 48 million being paid up front and the rest being paid in add-ons. It's now being reported that Chelsea may potentially look to hijack the deal. And we know that Chelsea, apparently the deal to sign Enzo Fernandez is off. And they were looking to pay a record fee for him of about 100 million pounds, I think it could have been, 120 million euros to activate his release clause. The situation they had with City yesterday, I think Mount got injured in training, and I think was it Sterling and Pulisic as well got injured, so they're dangerously short on numbers now of attacking wide players. They brought the young is it Chukwuemeka? I can't say his name. Used to be at Aston Villa. They bought that youngster on. They bought on Amari Hutchinson, who they took from us. So they're starting to look light in those attacking midfield options. Pursuing Mudryk, is it a deal they're going to look to do? They've got the financial power to be able to. I know that the talks are that Arsenal don't want to be drawn into a bidding war, and that is something we definitely do want to avoid, especially with Chelsea. But they've got a lot of areas to strengthen. Reece James has gone out and injured as well. Fofana's a long-term injury. They brought in Bachil. They brought in Cheku Fofana, I think his name is, striker. They brought in Santos, who's a youngster midfielder, 16 years old or something like that. So is he going to be ready for the first team? And they're desperately light in midfield areas, in the central midfield as well, with Kante. He's been out sidelined with injury for a long time. Jorginho, is his form what he used to be? Kovacic as well. They got Zakaria in there, but striking options. Havertz isn't a natural striker. He's done okay. Chelsea aren't scoring enough goals, and Bro has got injured until the end of the season. Oba, we told them. We tried to warn them. They signed him. He's only got 3 goals in all comps, I think, since he's been there. And he was subbed on yesterday when I think it was Sterling who went off, and then subbed off after they had gone 1-0 down and were in need of a goal, which shows that there's not actually a level of confidence there that they have in him as well. So they've got a lot to do. The question begs, would they be willing to commit a large fee to buy Mudryk? Now, in essence, from what I've heard about why the Enzo deal broke down, is that they intimated that they would pay the release clause and then tried to structure the release clause, and they couldn't agree a structure, and they were only willing to go up to 85 million. So what does that say? You know, that they don't want to pay 100 million for a guy that they said they would pay the release clause for, and that's close to what they would have to pay to get Mudryk if the asking price of Shakhtar is to be what they adhere to. Now, Shakhtar have said that they are willing to be open on structure, on how someone gets that fee, but apparently they're saying they're not budging from it. And we've gone up to 70 million euros. So, look, I think at the end of the day, we have to be mindful of that as well. And I think going in for Felix kind of shows that, look, if you're going to mess around, we will go at other players. I think the plan was always to get both anyway, especially with Jesus being injured. But I think it just puts them on notice a little if we get Felix. It also is a deal that I think is easier to get done than Mudryk. And if the Mudryk deal does drag over the line, then at least we've got Felix in. I think we could have him in before the North London derby, at worst, the United game. And that kind of buys you some breathing space to kind of haggle and negotiate with Shakhtar. Because I think this Mudryk deal, if it is done this window, is going to get dragged out. It is going to get dragged out. Look, I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, why don't we just move on to other options? I want the club to do everything they can to make sure Arteta gets his first available target, the one that he wanted. And I don't see how they would have gone in for him first if he wasn't the man they really wanted. And I think we're panicking at this stage, but it's not even the first week of the transfer window that's transpired. You know, there's 3 more weeks to go. Plenty of time to get things done. So, look, I think Felix, given that Jesus is injured, given that Mudryk's dragging, and given that we have 2 tough competitive fixtures coming up, look, we could lose to Tottenham and United, and City could win both their games, and we're second, you know, and all the other teams that are chasing can make up ground on us, and that's not what we want, you know. So I think Felix could be a great way to buy some time. If the plan was always that we wanted both of them this window, and it's a deal that's easier to get done, and it's a deal that that we can, that is in our power to do before those 2 fixtures. Our next game is Oxford United in the FA Cup. Then I think it would be sensible to try and get it done, especially with Man United ramping up their interest now, and talks apparently with both clubs have accelerated in the last day or 2 with both clubs. So look, I think we get Felix done, and then we're not in such a position of need when we're negotiating with Shakhtar for Mudryk. But anyway, gonna go to the comments quickly. Big up Alexander. He's saying get Dodonka, and look, I'm sure the club have got plan B, plan C, plan D, plan Z options. But as I said, I think it's too early to give up on the Mudryk saga. We know Mudryk wants to come to us, and earlier I saw he'd liked a post that was published, by an Arsenal forum, stating that his agent had he had instructed his agent that Arsenal was the move he wanted. We saw the jail post yesterday where someone had photoshopped his face behind bars with the hashtag Free Mudryk. He liked that as well. All the interviews that he's done, including one with Zinchenko's wife, in Ukrainian publications, where he's spoken very highly of us. He's been watching our games and posting stories on his Instagram to show that he is watching our games, that he admires Arteta. The post that he did with De Zerbi when we played Brighton the other day, who also managed him when he was at Shakhtar. When a player has made it this clear that he wants to join us, the cards by proxy of being in his court, because he could reject terms, any that Chelsea put before him, are with us as well. So I don't think it's quite time to rush and give up on Mudryk. But what I would say just get Felix done. And then we can concentrate all our efforts on trying to get Mudryk over the line before the end of the January window. I think that would be the best course of action. And look, as much as I'd like a midfielder, if those were the two signings we did in this January window, I think that puts us in a great position to challenge for the title. Yes, Keith, what's going on, man? Glad that you tuned in. I hope you're well. Hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. And Happy New Year from myself and the Silver Fox from the Armoury and the rest of us as well. So what's everyone else's thoughts? On the Felix deal? I think Tony mentioned I know Tony's not as keen on him. I think he does have the drawbacks or the reservation on him being able to acclimatise to the physicality of the Premier League. And but yeah, no, I don't know what everyone else's thoughts are. Leave your thoughts in the comments. We can discuss this further, definitely. But I definitely think he brings quality, to the squad. With Atletico Madrid, they've challenged for titles, played big Champions League games, good international experience with Portugal for someone of his age, and he was highly touted when he was in Portugal. I think people were. I know the generational tag gets thrown around a lot, but there was talk of him being in that category. Before his move to Atletico Madrid. So, look, I think he's definitely got the qualities. Big up yourself, Keith. And I think, great addition for the squad if we can get it done. And obviously, the wages, I think, is a stumbling block. And then, I think that has got a knock-on effect on how much we want to pay on the loan fee. But let's be realistic. Paying his wages for 6 months and paying the loan fee is going to be a lot less than buying a striker. And you can see, to challenge for the title, we didn't expect to be in a title race, but we are in one. And I think what we need to look at is the more we can add to our squad in terms of quality and quantity and depth to a degree as well. I'm not talking about signing 10 players when none of them are any good, but I feel like just getting one player would still leave us short. So if we do the loan option with Felix, then it leaves plenty of money, resource allocation, and plenty of time that we can put into pursuing other target, maybe two. Because I think if it was up to me, I'd buy 3 players: a midfielder, a winger, and a striker. And I think if you get one on loan, even though you're paying the wages and it's quite high, then you've got space to get the other 2 done. So yeah, look, I think it's a great deal. It's there to be done. I don't think there's much on the market by way of someone of his quality that we can get this sort of price financially. Is only 6 months. Might seem like a lot for a loan, but I tell you what, I don't think anyone would be thinking about 21 million if we won the league title and he was scoring the goals to propel us to be able to do that. The TV and the prize money that you get from it would probably more than cover that. And if it does work out, we can pursue a permanent deal, in the summer. And yeah, I think, there's certainly players that probably will be on their way out. Players like Ainsley Maitland-Niles still knocking around in the squad. Tavares, would we keep him? Maybe you could look at Lokonga. And you've got Balogun on loan as well. And I don't know, there are ways that we could definitely look to finance that deal from player sales as well. That's my point, so and to offset some of the cost of loaning from the player sales as well. So anyone who adds quality, just going through Keith's comment here, to the squad and reduces the difference between starting 11 and the bench is a huge win for me. Depth is the one thing that would derail us. And look, Keith, you're spot on. If you look at the situation we were in last season, we chose not to strengthen in this window, whether that was a conscious choice or a result of not being able to get our top target, which was Vlahovic. Tottenham went and got Kulusevski. They went and got Bentancur. The rest was history. Do you know what I mean? The rest was history. I don't want to dwell on it too much. I do want to look forward, but I do look back at that and think what could have been if we did strengthen in the areas that we needed to. And I hope the club has learned from that experience. Partey did get injured. Tierney got injured. We lost 3 games on the bounce. Palace, Brighton, and Southampton. Lost to Tottenham. Lost to Newcastle. Dropped out of the top 4, and lost it to those trophy dodgers up the road, at the Lane, which made it an even more bitter pill to swallow. History can't repeat itself this season, and if Tottenham want to keep Conte, they're going to back him. Surely they're going to back him, given where they are at the moment. Man United, some people are saying they might only have loans because they spent substantially in the summer, but that might be a smokescreen. They might go out there and buy players. Liverpool, they've already bought in Gakpo, and they might look at other additions, maybe in central midfield. And whilst there is a buffer between us and Liverpool, we've seen them chase down. Top 4 from very lowly positions previously, and that City have got the money there that you never know, they might invest. And Newcastle as well, they find themselves 3rd. We played them the other day. We saw how difficult it was to break them down. They're the only team this season that we haven't scored against, and yeah, we got to face them again at St James's Park, and I expect them to invest as well. So whilst we're in this comfortable position now, we saw last season what taking the foot off the gas in terms of investing in the squad at January meant, and it was throwing away the ascendancy ultimately. And I think this is why Keith's point is a valid one. It's really important, really, really, really important that we don't repeat the mistakes of previous seasons. Like where we've neglected our January window. It's historically been a window we don't do business in, and there's been situations where it's cost us. I think when Spurs came 3rd in the 2-horse race, when Leicester won the league, we could have won the league that season. You look at Ozil, the numbers he was putting up. I think he got 19 assists that season, created 146 chances from open play, which remains a Premier League record in a season. He got 19 assists, but Giroud went on a 14-game goal drought. And the only player we bought in that summer window, Peter Cech. Everyone knew we needed a striker. The Arsenal board had other ideas. Could you imagine, when we get laughed at by rival fans, what winning the league that season would have meant for us? It would have bought us some leeway. We would have won a title more recently than United and a few other teams. It would have been our 14th league title. And if you think of the knock-on effect that could have had afterwards, finishing 2nd and being a title winner, the transfer targets that you go for in the market, the money that you have to spend and invest in the team, then that could have been when we could have got back up again, and the definition of insanity, they say, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But we did that again last season, didn't we? And it cost us, so look, I think this is a deal that it helps us. We're not committed to him long term. It brings in the player that we need. It brings in quality that we need. And I think if you look at the Odegaard situation, when we loaned Odegaard, we had a try before you buy kind of period, where we took him and Ceballos. Okay, so Danny Ceballos didn't work, we sent him back. No problem, you take him back. That's your problem trying to get rid of him. And he's still on Real Madrid's books. But the difference, obviously, with Odegaard was it was a loan that did work, and we were able to strike an agreement with Real Madrid. And you look at the impact of him now; he's gone on to become our club captain, and he's playing the football of his life. 7 goals and I think 5 or 6 assists, if I'm not mistaken, this season. Um, Arguably one of the best number 8s in the Premier League this season. And I think that period where he was brought in on loan definitely helped him to adjust, and we knew what we were getting when we did commit to him in the previous summer window to make his move permanent. So look, I look at how that Odegaard scenario played out, and I think Felix gives us a great opportunity to do that as well, and it helps us, with the gaps that we got in our squad. And when you look at this squad as well, in terms of experience level, you've got a lot of young players, and a lot of them haven't tasted Champions League football. I think, only Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard. I can't think of anyone else that's played Champions League football that's in our squad. Tierney has with Celtic. There's not a great deal, though. Do you know what I mean? There's not a great deal. The players that have played at major international tournaments. There's, not a great deal of players that have been in title challenges, which Felix has in Portugal and in Spain. So, he kind of brings that to the dressing room as well. For such a young player, he's only 22 or 23, I think, and he brings that into, he brings that into the squad, and I think that's what they need. You know what I mean? When you look at the squad we're assembling, I think you look at the impact of Jesus, you look at the impact of Zinchenko. These guys have been there and done that. They've won things, and they brought that winning mentality to the dressing room. And I think João definitely does that as well. He brings that experience of competing at the highest level, and of winning things as well into the dressing room. Look, I think that's what else makes this deal worth doing as well. Big up Chris in the cut. It's going to go to some of the comments. Happy New Year to you as well, Chris. And to all of our watchers, guys, if you haven't already, please smash the likes, by the way. We're wishing you all a happy New Year. Smash the likes, please. That helps us grow the channel, widens the exposure, and we can continue to bring you great content into the new year as well. So if you haven't already, it takes a second. Please smash the likes, and feel free to share this with your friends and your family as well. Big up Chris. How come we talking some more fullbacks now too? I think looking at fullbacks, I think there's the Fresneda guy that we're looking from Spanish team, a young fullback, right back. Obviously Ben White's been great. Tomiyasu's been a bit injury prone, but he's still great. He can play across the line, and both as a centre back and a left back as well. Where Tomiyasu has played as an inverted fullback, I think bringing another right back, if we get rid of Cedric, it'll just be a 1-in, 1-out situation. I know Cedric's been linked to Fulham, and obviously if he did leave, though, it would leave the squad a bit light if Tomiyasu did get injured, and he has been a bit injury prone since last January. I think we might look at other fullbacks if Cedric is let go, and that might be something worth doing as well. just to give us competition and cover in that position. Ndika in the summer as well, Frankfurt centre-back, helped them win the Europa League last season. He's got Europa League and Champions League experience with Frankfurt. Left-footed, left-sided centre-back. There's been talk also of us in the longer term wanting to bring us a centre-back that is able to compete with Gabriel, that is left-footed, that can play on the left side of a back four. Could maybe even allow us to play a back three if we wanted to. And yeah, look, Gabriel, I think he's having a great season. Don't get me wrong. I think he has made some mistakes. So has Saliba. Saliba's made more mistakes of late. But yeah, I think again, to compete in four squads, Tony's not going to like to hear this, but is holding of the quality to help us compete at the very top level. And obviously Ndika has in Europe, and has been part of a great defence of Frankfurt, and helped them win titles. So look, I think talk is that he would be joining us on a free at the end of the season when his contract runs out. Other clubs are going to be interested, but I think we are meant to be front runners in that transfer as well. And I really like him. Ex-partner's brother-in-law, big Frankfurt fan, season ticket holder. He's had me watching Frankfurt and acclimatized to what he brings to the table for a very long time now. So yeah, that's another link I like. Man U beat Everton. Not a surprise there. Sorry, just looking at some of the comments, and not that I'm overly concerned with what's going on with United, but obviously it keeps them in another competition, which stretches their squad, leaves it thin for competing in the league. They're still in the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Europa League, and trying to compete for the top four. And I think this is why they might rush to get this Felix deal done as well. So we can't afford to let up in that transfer, to be honest. Balde from Barcelona. Yeah, Ivan Fresneda. Yeah, maybe sell and make money on either Kieran Tierney or Tommy, or what do you think? I think it'll be Tavares, who's on loan at Marseille. I think if you keep Tierney and Zinchenko, I think Marseille's been doing really well at Marseille. They might look to make that deal permanent. And I think that goes some way to getting out a left back, because he would be a third choice left back, assuming, because he's been playing mostly for Marseille in a back three as a wing back, and we're not really using wing backs. Had showed reservations playing as a left back. We bought him for 9 million. He's doing well at Marseille. I think we can turn a profit on that 9 million figure, and then use the funds along with the funds for Cedric to reinvest in a right back, one that's more attacking. Gives you a bit more kind of threat going forward. And I think Balde plays as a left back, Fresneda as a right back. I think I'd rather take Fresneda out of the two, although I think Balde is a fantastic player. I think he'll cost a lot. I don't think Barcelona are in a rush to let him go. Ivan Fresneda, 18. He's also been linked to Newcastle. He looks like a real prospect, and ties in with our youth policy. But yeah, I think the right side is where we need an option more. Tomiyasu can fill in as a left back if either Zinchenko or Tierney aren't fit. And you've just got another right back there. Ben White is a natural centre back. I think that would just kind of complete our defensive rebuild if we were to get Ndika at the end of the season as well. So that's the way I'd see it personally. I wouldn't get rid of Kieran Tierney or Tomiyasu. I think they're Tierney and Zinchenko, between the two of them, have both at different junctures of the season performed very well. Tierney's adapting to playing the inverted fullback role, and he's starting to look promising in being able to do that. And obviously Zinchenko's been doing that very well. Tierney's a bit better defensively. Zinchenko probably is better adapted to the transition when the fullback inverts and goes into the midfield. and involves himself with our technical security in midfield. So you've got the good contrast there between Tierney and Zinchenko. I wouldn't get rid of Tierney for that reason. And yeah, Tomiyasu, look, we've seen his quality, and again, he can play as a centre back. So yeah, I wouldn't be looking to get rid of those personally, and I hope the club aren't either. Yeah, sell Cedric if we can get anything, and yeah, I think they're looking to. I'm hearing that there is issues with agreeing wages with Fulham on the personal term side. If the reports that I've read are believed to be true, so yeah, I think that's something that we've got to be mindful of. But sorry, guys, I do have to just get to my charger quickly. I just realised my phone's dying. But yeah, I would keep him definitely. Trusty and Ndika. I forgot about Trusty on loan as well, who's also doing very well. So yeah, we've got him to come back as well at the end of the season. So yeah, I think Holding, Cedric, Tavares could look to move these guys on. And yeah, I think our defense then will be sorted. But yeah, both left-sided centre backs, Trusty and Ndika. Yeah, Ndika can also play at left back. And yeah, you obviously got Gabriel as well. Plenty of options there. Look, it's a squad game, 5 subs now, 4 competitions that you got to compete in. You need bigger squads, and look, you need competition, and only through that are we going to get better. And I think someone like Ndika available for free, you don't look a gift horse in the mouth, quite literally, as the saying goes. That's sitting on the bench through Saliba off a World Cup, as he's not a bench warmer. Yeah, look, I think, he needs a bit of time. He's still young. That's what we got to remember. He's 21 years old. He's going to make mistakes. Gabriel's 25. He's going to make mistakes. In fact, everyone in our back line is apart from Holding, who is a squad player and isn't in that first team for his experience. Everyone in that back line is under the age of is 25 or under. So there's going to be mistakes in them. Look, Saliba built up a good head of steam going into the World Cup break. The 6 weeks for the World Cup, he only played 27 minutes against Tunisia in the last group game that France lost by a 1-0. And we all know when you've not been kind of constantly playing, you lose that bit of sharpness. You lose that second of sharpness, and because you haven't got that match fitness. And I think he's needed a couple of games to kind of get that back. And it'll be fine. It'll be absolutely fine. Oh dear, here we go, Keith. Really looking to go 2-footed on Holding. We all know he's Tony's boy. Holding is feces, as I'll say. We should sack him off. King, just ask Tony. I'm sure he'll agree. big up Keith and the Silver Fox as well. And big up our sponsors as well, Global Mapping Surveys. And yeah, big up Adam. I think that would be from the United Agenda. Must be buoyant after United's result against Everton today. Just remember, when you come to the Emirates Stadium, boards don't hit back. But anyway, Chris, you're right. I like Nuno. He's explosive. But you're right. We can make money, and he don't fit. It seems that good with us. That's it. And yeah, Fresneda can also play on both sides as well, but he's predominantly played on the right hand side. And the other Frankfurters that you like, Lidstrom, he's a great talent, and yeah, Kamada as well. And yeah, look, Frankfurt have got some great talent. That Mawani as well. striker. He's been linked with Man United as well, and he was with France at the World Cup. Unfortunately, missed the penalty in the final, but I think he, in flashes when he came on, he definitely changed the game. In that extra time period of Argentina in the final, and came off the bench a few times at the World Cup and was good as well. So yeah, these are the players I definitely like from Frankfurt as well. Someone named Tony asked me to ask, should we not start the magical Holdino and El Neni versus Oxford? Absolutely. The more squad players we can start against Oxford, the better. I want as many first team players rested for that White Hart Lane showdown with those trophy dodgers as possible. So yes, I think Spurs, if I'm not no, wait, Man City have got Chelsea, and then they've got Man United. Who have Spurs got in the cup? Why am I thinking in my head they've got a Premier League team? And because they're trying to win a trophy, they're not going to rest their players in the way they should. So we should take advantage of that by playing Holding and El Neni, the real Egyptian king, against Oxford. Yeah, I love someday Oz going to midfield and keeping KT. Oz going to midfield. Who's Oz? Are you don't know. But yeah, I want to make sure we get a centre mid and a striker. That's what we're looking at. Don't let Mudryk turn into a Vlahovic issue. I don't think it will, because unlike with Vlahovic, this player has expressed a keen desire to join Arsenal. And we're not languishing in and around fourth like we were in January. We are playing the best football in the Premier League and are top of it. So we've got that pull. There's a big difference. A big difference. Like, we are a club now that is attractive as a proposition. Not that we weren't then, but we're much more attractive now. So I don't envisage the Mudryk issue being similar to Vlahovic in these respects, which are very important. Saliba, smoothest, smartest, best athletic centre back I've seen him. Yeah, and look, Chris, you're spot on. I think he's great on the ball, very comfortable, very composed. Very good on the turn, on the half turn, receiving the ball. Very good passer of the ball with both his feet, very calm, very composed, can step out of defence, drive into midfield with the ball as well. And yeah, he's certainly a great talent, someone that we've got to definitely tie down. And I think that the club are also working on extending contracts at the moment as well, and his name's top of the list to get committed. In terms of his long-term future to Arsenal. DWT, what's going on? Big up yourself, and Happy New Year to you as well. And I hope you're well. And yeah, guys, in terms of what else we're looking at, and yeah, I think these are the stories at the moment. I think Felix definitely got to move really fast on this transfer. Make sure we can get it over the line ASAP. Chris Moss wants us to wax off the Oxfordians, and yeah, I'm not that far from Oxford as well. Yeah, grew up in Reading, so yeah, be a bonus if we can definitely pull one over them as well. Holding leaving with a Premier League winners medal, I'll be happy. Listen, I'll be happy, not just because of the winners medal, but because he'll be leaving. No offense. Nah, jokes. Look, Holding's been a great servant to Arsenal Football Club, and yeah, he's definitely. I remember him for the moments, various FA Cup wins. But yeah, I just think for him, I think he's good enough to play. I think he's good enough to play, not for us, but I think he's good enough to go somewhere and get game time, get minutes, being an integral part of a team out there. You look at you look at Callum Chambers playing for Aston Villa the other day. Big part of beating Tottenham And yeah, look, like a lot of players have left and gone on to have great careers, and I just think it's that time for them. But yeah, oh yeah, Frankfurt signed Paxton, Aronson, Leeds players. Yeah, young, yeah. They've got some quality, man. Oz, okay, Zinchenko, right? Yeah. Say no more, Chris. I was like, yeah, like who's this? Maybe he could go. Yeah, obviously he's a natural central midfielder by trade. Plays there for the Ukraine as well, at international level. So yeah, like strengthening those fullback areas again opens up that option to use him in midfield as well. But yeah, look, Tony, the silver Dynamo Holdino for FA Cup champion. But yeah, DWC, I'm all good. I'm all good. Just trying to stay focused. Going to be back doing more stuff with the channel now, and yeah, looking forward to this year and the challenges that we face, and hopefully overcoming them with some light and some silverware at the end of the tunnel, buddy. If Mudryk isn't happening, what two players should Arsenal bring in? We need at least two. I like Matoma. I like Harvey Barnes. Definitely. I think Felix should get done regardless of whether we get Mudryk in or not. It's a few players, man. I think. Yeah, like I'm sure the club will link with Facundo Torres. He plays for Orlando Pirates. We played against them in a friendly pre-season. They've been looking at Ferran Torres at Barcelona. Did these moves excite me as much? Maybe not, but look, that's what we've been linked with. We'll see. Holdinho, Guna for a lifetime. Don't gas him up, bro. We'll never hear the end of it. But yeah, look, I say with what always wanted and best fit players, Jonathan David, Danilo, centre midfield. We've been linked with Tielemans as well. That's an ongoing saga, whether or not we do that. And Marcus Thuram as well, and striker and his brother, Keepram Thuram, in centre midfield, playing in Ligue 1. This is a player that has been spoken about, a lot on the channel as well. So yeah, I mean, look, there's options. There's lots of options, and yeah, I think we'll definitely continue to look at options as the market heats up. Danilo could be one for the future. Is he one that's going to change us right now? I think what Arteta's looking at right now is quality that can help us now, that doesn't need much development, that can plug and play into our system and help us push. We brought Vieira in. I think he's great. But you can see he needs a bit of time to adjust, and that's fine. But yeah, I think what we need to be looking at is players that level raisers for that first 11, or squad options that definitely close the quality gap from the first 11 on the bench. King showing his appreciation to Rob. Getting Diego Costa's hold. But listen, guys, I am going to call it a day. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Big up the Silver Fox. Big up Moss. Big up DWT. Big up Gumsa, who's unfortunately unable to be here today. But yeah, big up the rest of the Armoury. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the likes. Help the channel grow. There's 14 people obviously watching at the moment. Guys, smash the likes. It takes a second. Really helps us with growth for the channel. But yeah, look, listen, guys, it's been great to chat to you today. And yeah, look, hopefully I'll return with Gumsa later on, maybe tomorrow or in the week at some point, to discuss other stories, or even any of the stories we've already discussed as new stories develop. And yeah, we can chew the fat and speak about them. and as and when they come. But guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. It's been emotional. Speak to you soon.